All right, good morning. I'm meteorologist Steve MacLaughlin. It's just after 11 a.m. We're here at the NBC6 studios, keeping an eye on Tropical Depression 19. And man, it is making for an ugly Saturday. We knew that coming into today, so the forecast is on track. Question right now is, when does this storm become a tropical storm? And all indications are that that happens in the Gulf of Mexico almost certainly over the next 24 hours. We might wake up tomorrow morning with Tropical Storm Sally. And in the meantime, we're going to be dealing with quite a bit of rain across our area. Let me begin with a somewhat nice shot of the Broadwalk in between some rain bands right now. I've seen a few folks out and about. Other nice thing about all the clouds and rain keeps our temperature down. So 79 Miami and 81 in Fort Lauderdale. Taking a live look at Miami. And yes, this is what we're going to be seeing all day today. Waves of rain coming in. Occasionally you'll get a break, but in general, it is a wet day. On and off rain, breezy. The tropical storm watch from earlier today, that was taken down, even though there are some folks that are experiencing tropical storm force winds. I'll show you that with our wind map coming up. Then tomorrow looks like a much better day. We've got rain in the morning, and I wouldn't call it a great day, but certainly a lot better than today. So check it out. This is pretty amazing. Remember the cutoff for tropical storm winds, 39 miles per hour. We've got a wind gust right now, Fort Lauderdale International Airport, of 40 miles per hour, and pretty close down in Miami at the airport, 37. Key West, 20 miles per hour. Notice the counterclockwise circulation around the center of the storm, which is why we've got an onshore flow for Miami-Dade, Broward counties. We've got more of a westerly wind on the other side of the storm coming into the Keys. Why is this important? Well, some of that water is getting pushed toward the land, and we've got astronomically high tide, so some minor coastal flooding along the Atlantic shoreline is not out of the question. All right, so this just came out at 11 a.m., and it looks like this storm has just hit the Gulf of Mexico again. And if you were watching our earlier newscast, I said this storm is probably a couple of hours ahead of schedule, and that it could be back in the ocean as early as lunchtime. And here we go. It looks like it is into the Gulf of Mexico, still a tropical depression and not a tropical storm. Winds are at 35 miles per hour. It is moving to the west at 9 miles per hour. And even though the storm is technically pulling away, all of that rain you see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, that is going to be whipping into the area. Keys just getting pounded right now, but that wall of water and wind pushing up toward Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Just got a report of a 54 mile per hour wind gust in one of those bands on the dirty side of this storm. We've got a flood watch until 8 a.m. for Miami-Dade and Broward counties for 2 to 4 inches of rain. But I think when we add everything up, we might be talking about the middle and upper Keys as the real bullseye. Let me show you the latest track. This just came out from the National Hurricane Center, and you can see that by 8 p.m. tonight, they're saying this could already be Tropical Storm Sally with winds of 40 miles per hour. Look at tomorrow morning, 45. Tomorrow evening, 60. And we're getting close to hurricane strength. Another thing that I mentioned on the air this morning, you know, when you're talking about a tropical storm that has winds of 70 miles per hour that still has 100 miles before making landfall, what's stopping it from becoming a Category 1 hurricane before landfall? You know, we saw it with Laura a couple of weeks ago with this warm water, how easy it is for a storm to explode. Well, guess what? Latest advisory suggests that we might have a Category 1 hurricane making landfall. Obviously, it will not be that when it's here, but check out the track from the National Hurricane Center. And we're talking about anywhere just to the east of the Texas-Louisiana border to the far western reaches of the Florida Panhandle. That's your cone of concern for landfall. The center track right around New Orleans as a Category 1 hurricane. That's Monday into Tuesday, possibly peaking with winds of 80. It'll quickly lose strength once it gets inland. But, you know, that center track would push water into Lake Pontchartrain and most certainly cause some flooding for New Orleans. Luckily, only a Category 1 hurricane, but you know, this is what we talked about on the air this morning. I'll give you a couple other updates on the systems out in the Atlantic. So RENE has just been downgraded to a tropical depression. Winds are now under 39. And you see it make a little loop there. Nothing to worry about right now. Nothing showing up on our models that this storm would regenerate and head back toward the United States. Now, the other system, Paulette, that's a big one. And Hurricane warnings have just been issued for Bermuda, Category 2 hurricane, Sunday into Monday. Northeast United States doesn't have to worry. This storm is going to curl out to sea, but we're talking about possibly a Category 2 hurricane right over Bermuda over the next 48 hours. The other area we've been watching, that X you see on the far right-hand side of your screen, 90% chance of becoming a tropical depression. It looks like this is the storm that will become Teddy and not Sally, because Sally is the storm that we're watching close to us. Hasn't become Sally yet, but that's possible. I just want to show you real quickly on our GFS computer model. See that big purple blob, and there's a circle around it. That is the future Sally, and I want you to watch where the storm goes. This model says it's going up and away before it gets to the Lesser Antilles or Florida. Now, this model has been a little inconsistent, so we're not going to make any promises right now of what the storm's going to do. We're going to keep an eye on it, because yesterday and the day before, the tracks on this model were a little bit different. So we want that trend to continue going to the east. That would tell us we have more confidence the storm will in no way impact South Florida weather. But, the trend is good. The models are trending to keep this storm out to sea. There's one last thing I want to show you, and that is our First Alert Doppler 6000, because there is quite a bit of action showing up right now. And, if you look at the bottom of your screen, that's where all the rain is coming from. And look at what's going on from Key West to Key Largo, but especially Marathon, Isla Mirada. We are talking about pounding rain. There is a flood advisory from Duck Key to Isla Mirada. Okay, so basically Isla Mirada south, right along the Overseas Highway, which is basically a 2-lane road most of the time, right? You've got one lane in either direction, and we have this flood advisory that was supposed to expire at 11. It's now been extended to 1 p.m. So that tells you, this rain is not going anywhere for a while. So if you were planning on doing any driving along the Overseas Highway, just, if you can, wait a little bit longer. You don't want to be driving right now. But basically, all of that rain, that wall of water, is pushing up toward Homestead, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, even as far north as Coral Springs. So for the rest of the day, I would just plan on these waves of rain coming in. And at some point, it might get really, really ugly out there with the gusty winds as well. We're packing a punch of, 40, 45, even 50-mile-per-hour winds in some of these outer bands. So that's it for now. I'm meteorologist Steve MacLaughlin. Just want to remind you that we've got our next newscast coming up later tonight with Ryan Phillips. He'll have the latest on this storm. Even though the storm is pulling away, the real lesson here, the real theme is heavy rain will be with us the entire day, and conditions do improve tomorrow. All right. Enjoy your day. Stay dry. And I'll see you tomorrow morning on NBC6 News starting at 7 a.m.